Hey, what is up guys, it's Thunderstruck115. I hope you're having a good day today. Personally, I hope y'all are having a better day than I am, because I was just busy working on my programming project for school for like the last 4 fucking hours. And it's due tomorrow, and quite frankly, I should probably finish it, but I mean, at this point, it's like 95% done. The stuff I do need to add is pretty fucking easy anyways. And quite frankly, I just want a break from programming, so we're gonna instead do another video. And as it turns out, we have the perfect topic for it, as Xbox has recently announced that they're going to be raising the price of all their first-party games to $70 from here on out. And of course, this is going to generate salt from Xbox fanboys on Twitter, simply because they were calling out Sony when they raised the price of their games to $70, and all of a sudden now Xbox is doing the same to them. Now, if you want my opinion on the subject, I don't think games should be $70. I think that's way too expensive, especially with the state of the gaming industry nowadays, where like 90% of AAA games launch in a state that is buggy, broken, or unfinished. I didn't like it when Sony was doing it, and I don't like it now that Xbox is doing it. Having said that, I'm not exactly surprised with this decision, considering that pretty much a whole bunch of other companies have moved to $70 games already. But despite that, there are still a lot of people that are defending this decision. And where else would it come from the den of filth, sin, and retardation known as Twitter, aka my second least favorite website on the internet. So buckle up and let's see what the internet has in store for us today. $70 games shouldn't exist in the world of digital distribution.
Just because the game gets sold on a digital marketplace doesn't make the development of the game any cheaper.
Okay, maybe they're not saving any money on the actual development, but you know where they are saving money? They're saving money on the shipping costs to send physical copies to retailers. They're saving money on the discs, cases, and artwork. And when they're buying it through a digital platform, they don't have to give a cut to the retailer, just the console manufacturer. But in the case of the Xbox Live Marketplace, they don't even need to do that because, again, this is Microsoft raising the price of their own games.
If games are getting more expensive to make, they should be getting more expensive for consumers as well. Y'all want every game to be realistic with great physics, but don't want to pay for it.
What do you mean we don't want to pay for it? We've literally been paying for games ever since the dawn of time. Unless you're talking about the small subset of gamers that just pirates everything and never actually buys their games, then your argument is completely invalid. Because people are complaining that the games, so far that we've witnessed, are not getting better, yet the prices are still increasing. Because, I mean, what $70 games have we got, and how good have they been? Well, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War was pretty much unplayable at launch due to frequent crashing issues. Battlefield 2042 was one of the most disastrous launches for any online multiplayer first-person shooter in recent memory. And as of a few months ago, it was still fucking broken. Ratchet & Clank is a game with roughly only 5 hours of gameplay on the high end, and is also a game without much replay value. Gran Turismo 7 is a microtransaction-riddled mess, and is also a single-player game that requires a constant online connection, which, as we saw, the game was made unplayable due to the servers shitting the bed roughly around launch. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is just Borderlands 3, but with about half as much content. And Call of Duty Vanguard is... It's Call of Duty Vanguard. Do we even need to go into that fucking dumpster fire of a game? Meanwhile, what have the best games of this year been? For me, it was Elden Ring and LEGO Star Wars. Neither of those games were $70. Elden Ring was $60, and LEGO Star Wars was actually $50. So I'm not buying this claim that these developers need more money for their games to make great games. In fact, this next series of tweets is actually a really good explanation. Just gonna put this out there for everyone defending these well-known AAA game companies that millions of people buy games from, so the game will make back its money anyway. GTA 5 is one of the most expensive games ever made, cost $287 million to make adjusted for inflation, and it was sold for $60, and it made all its money back and more, making back $8 billion in total. So don't go telling me developers need $70. They don't. As these developers raising prices to $70 are very well-known AAA studios that millions of people buy games from them every year, it's not the indie devs raising prices, it's the greedy AAA devs raising prices when they would have made back all their money back despite it being $60 or $70. Thank you, Cape Crusader 39 for that tweet. I feel like that's an important piece of information for all these fanboys to know.
Games are millions of dollars to make, Lamau. Y'all really complain about $70.
Yeah, that's because unlike a lot of these AAA companies, I don't have billions of dollars just lying around. And besides, games like Elden Ring were expensive as hell to make, yet they only charge $60. I wonder why that is. It's funny how these companies were making record-breaking profits even before the games were $70. So this just comes across as ignorant bootlicking.
Games used to be $100+.
Okay, and? It has not been that way since the 90s at the very latest.
Games should be $120.
Hey, Grifter Gaming, I believe you're logged into your alt account.
Fuck off. Like, I had people going like, you're encouraging Nvidia to constantly raise the price. Good, I fucking hope they double it next year, you sick piece of shit.
All Xbox games are free on Game Pass. That $70 thing is just to prepare COD for PlayStation gamers. Nothing changes for Xbox gamers.
Excuse me 1 second, folks. I need to add a coin to the Big Man Gamers Was Right jar.
More Game Pass, more Game Pass. We have Xbox Game Pass. More value, more Game Pass value, more tools. Wait till we have the tools. That's what these Xbox fanboys say. That's all they ever say.
Saying that nothing changes for Xbox gamers is completely fucking laughable, because everything changes. The price of new games has increased. That's a big change. And Game Pass isn't free, you still have to pay for it. Now, don't get me wrong, I am glad that Game Pass does exist as an option, but it's just that, an option. For those who don't want to subscribe to Game Pass, this is a very bad thing.
Let's be honest. Sony games have much higher levels of quality and detail than Microsoft games do. Sony proved and earned their price hike. Microsoft are just being greedy.
Literally, the only part of that was correct is that Microsoft is being greedy. But Sony, I'm sorry, but the level of detail and quality in their games is not that much different compared to other AAA games. And by that, I mean their games are also getting worse along with the rest of the industry. I mean, hell, look at Gran Turismo 7. That shit was unplayable for quite a while after launch because Sony couldn't get their servers together. Not to mention the fact that God of War Ragnarok is pretty buggy, and from what I understand, it's a downgrade compared to God of War 2018. But, I mean, what can you say? Fanboys will be fanboys.
Video games can't be $70. Kid, you didn't live through the 90s.
That is such a retarded argument. Gaming as a hobby was a lot more niche back in the 90s. Nowadays, gaming has a much higher market cap. Tools are much more widely available. Not to mention, costs in many areas have fallen. For example, back in the 90s, most games came on cartridges, at least on consoles, which were expensive to produce. Nowadays, a lot of gaming is done via digital distribution, which costs next to nothing.
Now that Xbox games are $70, the value of Game Pass is even bigger.
No, it's not. Whether these games were $60 or $70, you're still getting the same games regardless. And the price of Game Pass hasn't changed either. All it's doing is screwing over people that wanted to buy these games to own them, and now the price is higher for them. This is a net negative for everyone. Well, unless you're Microsoft.
I really don't get the $70 talk when it comes to Xbox. If all their first-party stuff launches in Game Pass when the game comes out, if you don't have Game Pass, why not just pay $14 for Game Pass? Unless you really want to own that game. I don't get it.
You literally answered your own question. It's for those who want to buy the game to own it, or for those who don't want to subscribe to Game Pass. I mean, personally, I find Game Pass to be a great deal. I'm subscribed until sometime in 2025. But not everybody wants to have Game Pass, okay? Game Pass is not a silver bullet to suddenly deflect all criticism for games being $70 on Xbox now. Honestly, at this point, I'm just kinda done, and I do need to get back to doing that other, so I'm gonna end the video here. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more, and tell me what you think about this whole situation and fanboys being fanboys. Anyways, that's it. Peace!